Hello, everyone, and welcome to takTalks number 11. I should introduce myself each time. I'm trying to remember to do that, but I always want to go straight to the guest. My name's Takaya Honda. This is takTalks. This is a place where I get to talk to actors and sometimes, well, maybe in the future, creatives about their lives and how they've gotten into what they're doing, in this case, acting, and what drives them. What keeps them going? What lessons have they learnt doing this crazy thing that we do? And today's guest is the first guest I've had who I haven't met in real life, which makes her very courageous because that's kind of a scary thing to do, to come and talk to someone for an hour and not have met them before. But she said yes. So that's a good thing. And thank you to Lucas for putting us in touch with each other as well, because it probably wouldn't have happened without that either. But that's enough of me talking on my own. You aren't here just to listen to me rabble on. So here she is, Courtney Miller. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. It's a nice to ISO screen meet.
Yes, ISO screen meet. That's a good way to put it.
In real.
How have you been going in isolation?
I've been doing all right. Creativity's really been helping me through a lot of drawing, a lot of reading, a lot of. Actually, my housemate asked me that the other day because she went out for maybe 2 days. She said, "What have you been doing?" And I just was like, I don't actually know. I think when you have so much time, you stretch things out. So like my walk might be longer than I normally do, or my coffee break might be just long. Everything just is extended. So I don't know. The days have been okay.
You just got time to be present in things.
I've just got time. Yeah, well, I don't say I'm present. I think almost because I know I have free time, I go, oh, there's so many things to do. And then I, again, feel overwhelmed.
I think that's a really important thing to remember in this, because a lot of people, it's come up quite a lot in these chats where people have spoken about feeling like there's so much to do and it's like this pressure to be productive or something. But Alan Fletcher, who plays Dr. Carl on Neighbours, and I've got to plug Neighbours as much as I can because you're from Home and Away. And
I was a big fan of Neighbours.
What do you mean?
Massive fan. Well, sorry, I was young, and then I got a contract.
I was commenting on something today that people were saying that, comparing Neighbours and Home and Away, and I was like, it's not really a competition. We're on different time slots, and in Australia, you guys are on a main channel, we're on a digital one, so that's not really a fair comparison. And overseas, Neighbours does pretty well compared to Home and Away, so I won't.
Okay, here we go. We're just neighbours trying to. We're just neighbours. We're just actors trying to make our way.
And both shows should be applauded for everything that they do. But getting back to what I was saying, so Dr. Carl, Alan Fletcher was saying that I'm not focusing on the things that I can't do. I'm focusing on the things that I can do, and that makes it much easier to get through. And I thought that was a really lovely thing. And I think I've said it a couple of times now on this, but I feel it's worth repeating because I think it's kind of a powerful mindset to have, because it can feel quite daunting when you're not able to do the things you would normally do and fill your time with, and also not be thinking about it as things that I have to do. It's things that I can do. There's no pressure to suddenly achieve all the things that you thought you would have.
It's funny that we think that we have to do things, and I think that stems from the competition between, and I think social media has a very large play in it, of you see what everyone else is doing and you go, why aren't I doing that? Why aren't I reading more, or baking and doing all these creative things? It's because that's not you. And I think we forget that we've got to say, like, Alan? Was it Alan? Alan? Yeah. I should know that. I was a massive fan of him.
Again, with the past tense, was. You better hope never to meet him at the Logies or something, because that'll be real awkward, because I'm going to go tell him,
We'll talk later about how bad I am at names, and it's very embarrassing. But I think he's right in that we forget that we've got to really go back into ourselves and say, I don't like doing that. So why am I going to pretend that I like doing yoga? Because it seems like this, look at me. But it's not what you want to do. So it's a funny time of a lot more people are on the socials, and that kind of, you can't get out as much into the sun. So I think mental health is a bit of a big topic here with
it's
the
the
isolation.
Classic trap of social media, that thinking that the life that you're seeing in the images isn't a curated version of a life. when it totally is.
Yeah.
And you don't want to think that, oh, those people are doing all those things. They're always so happy. Why aren't I that way? Sorry. And the truth is, it's not the case on the other side of those images and stuff. There's a lot of work going into those images most of the time. Most of the time, they aren't an actual reality. They are in many cases as well. But it's you got to be careful and how you navigate those things, because it can be quite painful for people watching those things and feeling not as good about themselves.
Yeah. And you never really think about the person, who doesn't. I look at sometimes people who are having a great time with their partner, and you don't know what's happening behind closed doors. You don't know really how they are getting on. But it's for people who are quite alone in this time and go, well, I don't have anyone. And then that kind of goes into a bit of a spiral for some people. But then again, it keeps me terribly entertained.
Yeah.
Terribly entertained. It does. And I scroll on this TikTok. I'm really trying not to get it, but I'm not going to get it because I'm not going to let myself get it. But it's starting to.
Yeah, well, but there's a place for everything, I think. And it's just whatever you enjoy, and maintaining that. I think filling your feed or no matter where that feed is, with things that fill you with joy. It's like you got to Marie Kondo your social media. Does this bring me joy? And get rid of it if it doesn't. If it just makes you feel.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing about Instagram, is it can make you quite, I'm going to do that today. People planting or people making a herb garden, and they go, I'm actually going to do that. It's when it gets to that negative side, you've got to actually use your own initiative and go, I'm actually going to delete that account because it makes me feel awful. Yeah. So yeah, it's a funny place.
I just had a thought of a funny thing that I found myself lying in bed, and I get trapped in like the Facebook video thing, because a friend will post something and then I'll watch the video and then it'll automatically play the next one or whatever. And for some reason, these like DIY things come up, but they're for really extreme things. So the other day I was watching a guy restore like this giant, I don't even know what it was. It was like a steering mechanism for a big boat. So it was really rusty and all this stuff. And the video was just him removing rust and like cleaning things ultra specific and something.
I've got to get a boat, and then I've got to make it rusty.
But it's not even like a boat. It's like, I'm talking like a ship, like a shipping, like a thing that carries oil and stuff around. Like it's a big thing, and nothing I'd ever do. And for some reason, it's on a DIY page, which I don't follow. I don't know how the algorithm does its thing. But yeah, I was lying there, and it's like a 15-minute video. I'm watching rust be removed from this thing, him like clean it and paint it, and I was like, what am I doing? But for some reason.
Was it one of those videos that were quite nice to watch? You go, I didn't quite.
Yeah, it was sort of like I imagine what people who experience ASMR. That was like my version, was just really calming just to watch this thing. And I was like, this is. I have no idea why I'm watching this, but for some reason it's giving me some pleasure.
But I had time
I've got all this time to spend watching this rust be removed from this weird gear thing.
Yeah, it's quite weird. I haven't watched any DIY. I haven't done any cooking, which I've always wanted to do, but then I just eat it, and then
your mum was is a nutritionist, right?
Wash.
Is your mum a nutritionist? Did I read that right?
Mum's studying nutrition, and she's a hypnotherapist. So she's a qualified hypnotherapist and studying nutrition. Yeah, it's been really good for me because I have a love for it now, and there's knowledge that comes out that I didn't know I had.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Like just reaffirmations of things that you had just sort of believed, but now it's sort of been made certain.
Yeah, or just, with the nutrition, it's like, I know I can give myself a little bit of leeway because I know the nutritional value of this and the nutritional value of that. With hypno, we always talk about, because people think that hypno, you get this pendulum. So not. It's what it is, like, really quickly, because it's interesting to actually know about it, is you talk to a person for maybe half an hour, you write down a script, not like our script. Hello, she said this, and no, imagine that. And she writes a script about your life, and she uses kind of a lot of imagery to when you're sleeping, which is what hypno is. You're literally just sleeping. And she reads a script back to you, and it affects your subconscious. So when you get to the moment that you were fearful of, say, your subconscious kicks in and goes, it doesn't go, I remember she read that script to me and she said not to do this, but it kind of, in a way, infiltrates your whole subconscious. It's pretty cool. So we talk about that all the time. And then my psychology comes in, and then I go, okay, we're going to end this conversation. It's too much.
Do what you know come at odds with how she works at all, or is?
The only thing that we would come at odds is I am a little bit more logical about stuff that happens in the brain, whereas it's not the spiritualness, it's this, that things happen for a reason, whereas I'm a bit more like, no, it's just by chance that those two things connected. So that's where we'll differ. Yeah, and I try and hold my tongue. But it's like everyone has their own little quirks and their differences in those sorts of things, because it's such a big
and just to
topic,
fill in the gap for people at home who don't know, you have a degree in psychology. Was it? Are you majoring in rehab therapy?
It's so I did an undergrad in psychology, and then I did a grad. It's a very long one. Oh my gosh, graduate diploma of rehab counselling, which is just, in short terms, trying to get people back into their lives, say after mental illness or injury, physical.
Oh, right.
So that's
interesting. And we'll get to that in a sec. Was your mum's work something that propelled you into that?
I don't know. I really don't know. I kind of left. She didn't do hypno at this time. She was into beauty, actually, when I was going through uni. And then I think we kind of went on the journey together, not influencing each other, but kind of just at the same time chose it. I kind of left high school not knowing what I was going to do, and I always loved helping people, which sounds very cliche, and then I just went down the path and I loved it. I really did. It was hard. It was really hard. I was on the floor most nights crying. It was awful. But it paid off.
The
it really did.
psychology students who suffer all these mental disorders from the stress of getting their degree.
Exactly. And then they end up having to see a psychologist because they're so traumatized.
I think that's the trick, right? They're creating their own work by having more students. They need more psychologists.
Yeah, exactly. We're paying this much money, so we've got to get something.
It's also a thing that I think a lot of actors are attracted to as well. I know plenty of friends who have either studied acting first or acting after, or at least I guess had acting as a thing in the back of their mind throughout the whole thing, because we're really, as actors, studiers of human behavior at the end of the day. But let's take a step back. We sort of jumped in towards the end a bit. Well, not the end, but
ahead of ourselves. So much time.
So now I'm going to lie down on the couch and you can just like therapize me if you like.
I'll just talk about myself.
That's how it works, right? And I learn all the lessons that way. Yeah. So growing up, we grew up pretty close to each other. You won't know this because you're in Gladesville. Yeah. Was
yes,
that most of your growing up? All of your growing up?
Yeah. Oh gosh, that was till year 6, and then I went to East Ryde, so it wasn't far.
Because I was first in Belrose near French's Forest, and then St Ives.
Okay.
So quite close to Gladesville, right in that way.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of cool. What school did you go
to?
There you
go. I thought you would be a Melbourne boy for some reason.
I just moved here for the show.
No, the things you do. Gosh.
Terrible. It's so good here because the rent's cheaper, the food's better, there's a nightlife. Yeah. It's great.
I just heard it's really. I've been there once, and I just heard it's just the vibe is.
And it's
cool.
cold, but it's cold here. That's the thing. Which for everyone at home who watches Neighbours and sees us shirtless in the sun all the time, it's not. And you guys experience that too, but I think it's worse here because you can have it can be like the same temperature here and in Sydney, but it's so much colder here. You just get this icy wind.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, what school did you go to?
I went to a little primary school. I went to Boronia Park.
I've heard of Boronia Park.
Yeah. Blue and yellow and I don't know. Gold. I can sing it for you.
No, please do. I think everyone would be super entertained with this.
You know when you're a kid and you sing a song and you end up just going.
Was that you?
Watching like the old kids.
Did you, totally me. Can you sing?
Can I sing well? I think that's the question. Oh man, I wish I was a better singer. I can hold a tune, but there's some notes that I just wish I could reach, and I just can't, and I have to let
Well,
that
I
go.
mean, like holding a tune is singing. I think people can get confused with singing that, oh, if I can't sing the high notes or potentially low notes, then I'm not a good singer.
And
It's
I
like, no,
can't
no,
sing
no.
it.
You can find a song that just
Yeah.
sits within your range, and you'll sound
Yeah.
good. So you could,
Yeah.
the things like Moulin Rouge and stuff,
Very true.
they could still come your way to be fine. Or even Happy Feet being a VO, that'd be fun.
There you go.
Um,
I like to sing the Wicked, the music, the musical. I like to sing those songs in the shower, so they're
so do
quite
you
up
like
there.
musical theatre then?
Oh man, if I could kind of dip down another path, musical theatre all the way. My singing's always brought me back because I could sing, but I could never again hit those. I think that's why I tell myself you can't sing, because I never got into the musicals. Well, I did, but I could never do the really
Yeah,
singy
yeah,
ones, you know.
and that's fine. That's fine. You're at home and away now, so why not?
Mm,
Um,
exactly.
what was the first thing you ever performed in?
I was a dancer, so I loved doing that. I think that's where my acting kind of stemmed from. I never liked learning the dance. I never liked rehearsing the dance. I just liked being on
Mm.
stage. Um, and then I had been at a school for 15 years, and it got to about 20 years that I had been at this little dance school, and that was in Bronia Park. So after school, we'd go to dancing, and we
What sort
kind
of
of
dance did you do?
I was a hip hopper, and I did
Cool.
jazz as well. So like in our dances, we would have this little acting segment at the start, as you do, and I think that's where my love came from. And then I didn't get into my primary school musical, which was devastating. I still am devastated by that. So kids out there, keep going. Anyway, I was going to pay. It was called. It was the Wizard of Oz, and I wanted to play the witch, but I didn't get it. Anyway, we'll let that one go. And so I was a dancer, and then in high school I played Marty from
Oh,
Greece. So
that's
that
fun.
was
It's a
really
good
cool.
role.
I wish I did more. It's a great role.
It's very much
Yeah,
an actor's role too, which is nice.
she was so sassy. I
Which is
loved it.
kind of, well, we'll get there, but like it's sort of come back around for Bella as well, right? Because that's sort of that kind of character.
Yeah,
There must be something,
sass.
because I read some stuff saying how you're so different from your character in that way, but there must be something lurking underneath that
I think there might be. If I keep coming
yeah,
back to
when people
that,
can
yeah,
go, yeah, that's her, that's that person. You're like,
yeah. I think. I mean, mum and dad would always tell me, that episode was more like you, and I mean, you would know it's some days the script goes with your personality, and some days it doesn't, or like the words go with what you normally say. But I mean, Bella has so much trauma that me saying the words she does doesn't even make sense because I've never gone through those things. I've never felt that way. So that's where I can really feel indifferent, which is a good thing,
yeah,
which
and
is
then
really
it
fun.
relies on our ability to empathize with the character and try to tell their
Yeah.
story from that point.
Yeah.
So when did do you remember a moment where you went, acting's the thing I want to do?
I always recorded
Oh yeah.
myself at home. Always, always,
Will these recordings ever be
always.
released?
Oh, I think they wanted. My sister wanted to release them for my
Wow.
21st. They're lost. I
Oh
don't know where
wow,
they are.
convenient.
Yeah, I know. How convenient. I didn't lose them. I actually would like to see them and laugh at myself. But we used to, as with family members and our cousins and family friends, would make little videos, which were really good. Like,
Oh,
so
so you don't have them, but now you're talking them up. Like,
and I really want to find them because they were so funny and they were so fun to do. But I did used to sing. I used to mouth "Big Girls Don't Cry" every time it rained. Weird. I don't get it. You know, things you look back on, you go, I couldn't tell you why I did that. I just did. Would go out like, oh, it's raining. Go out with the old little recorders, home recorder, whatever you would call
a
it,
video camera?
and just film myself. Again, grammar with technology. I really don't know anything. Those things that you hold, you just. That's the red button. But yeah, that's where it kind of started. And then my dancing kind of got me there. And then I was in a short film in year 6, and that was really the beginning.
Where did that come
Really
from?
didn't know much there. A friend from school's sister, so she was 2 years up, and she was a really good filmmaker by like year 8. She was making these beautiful films, and I got to be one and be a character, that is, not a filmmaker. And that kind of, and then they introduced me to getting an agent. So I got an agent at a very young age, which was for a lot of people, that's not how it's done. It's, you train and then you eventually work up to hold down an audition. But I kind of did it backwards. So if I would do it again, I would definitely go into more training. But it got me to where I am now, which is really cool. I've had a few agents, so it hasn't been
So
the one.
so have you done any training at all, or is literally you've just been flying through on natural talent and skill?
Definitely haven't been flying through. No, I haven't done a full-time course. I really wish I did. I actually auditioned
Yeah.
when I was 18 and I didn't get in. But I do remember thinking there was this one exercise, and I find this so fascinating because I was 18, I was so young. And these people had to get up and they had to talk to each other in a different language, right? One of the person knew French, so that was really cool, and that was quite lucky for them. The other person didn't know anything, so I think they chose Japanese. So they were saying these random words, not knowing any Japanese, and having to have a conversation with this person who spoke fluent French. And I just remember sitting there going, if I don't get in, I won't mind, because I just was not ready.
That's
I
also
wasn't ready.
such a unfair thing, because it should be more that you both have to make up a language and have a conversation, not you get
Yeah,
to speak a language
yeah,
the same way you're talking now, and the other person
yeah.
is just like, yeah.
I think the person just regretted that they didn't ever learn
Well,
another
yeah.
language. It just so happened that they knew French, who doesn't? Um,
Well,
and I had done part-time
mhm.
NIDA courses for quite a while up until that point. And I auditioned, and then I kept doing like the year programs, and then I actually have been training with a teacher ever since. So I do
Who's
that.
your
I do
teacher?
that now whilst I'm. I do
Oh
it with
yeah,
Sir
yeah.
Hat
I've
Carity.
seen that.
Yeah, he's a good friend and very good mentor for me. And I've kind of just, when you find
Yeah.
your teacher, sometimes they can be a bit biased, but I found my teacher, and so I've actually worked quite hard Tuesday, Wednesday nights doing that, um, just to hone in and keep that theatre base, which I haven't ever
Yeah,
had.
well, which you don't necessarily need either, but it is great to keep pursuing better work, and not get complacent in that. Because do you know Les Chantry? Yeah.
I do. I
Well,
had
yeah,
him at
he's
night
like
actually.
my guy. So like, yeah.
Oh, there you
But it is
go.
totally about. I think a lot of actors out there get stuck with a certain method or teacher, thinking that that's the one way that you should be approaching it.
Yeah,
When really you've got to try all of them. And that's what the schools do. Really, they're providing here's
yeah,
15 different kinds of methods, what sticks for you, and then figuring out
yeah,
what gives you the confidence to bring the character off the page, and no, don't get stuck down if one method's just not working for you, if you're not getting to the places that it's supposed to get to. Just because
yeah,
it did work for like Dustin Hoffman or someone doesn't mean that it should work for
yeah,
everyone. It won't. That's why there are so many methods, and you'll find something
yeah.
quite. And I think overall you end up
Like,
finding something quite intimate to yourself and how you work. And a good acting coach will know what that is and help you
yeah,
explore that too,
yeah,
which Les
yeah.
definitely did for me.
And I think, yeah, he was great. I remember him so clearly, and he would really had a big effect on me because it was that whole NIDA stage that really got me the confidence for it. And also, I kind of realized of how much there was to learn. Of acting isn't just this thing that you did in drama school. I did it for year 12, and it was fun, and it was, but I didn't know half the things I know now, and I've got so much more to go. And that's what I love about it. I sit here and I read these acting books and I go, oh my God, I didn't know that. And something that can be quite academic, in a book, you can actually like apply. Like if you read Larry Moss and you just go, oh, okay, wow. It just, I don't know, there's this enriched passion in me, which is very, very, very exciting. And my coaches have a lot to do with it.
Where does that drive
So
come
yeah.
from? to be better at acting?
Oh, I just have seen how good people are, and I don't know, it's just this part of my life where, I'm young enough to not have any responsibilities, I have a great life, and when I act, it's my happy place, which sounds
No,
very
it's not
silly.
at all.
Not silly, but it is, and to have a job that I genuinely like getting up at 5 o'clock for is, I've had all those jobs that I've loved, but it's just been a bit of a hard thing to continue with because
Do
the passion's
you
not there.
like watching yourself?
I've gotten used to it. I don't like it if I know what I was feeling during that
Mm-hmm.
scene. Like if I know that I was like if I know that I didn't do a good job, I hate it. I'll really dislike watching it. But I think I got used to watching my monologues from class. So I learn from it. So I know that I have to rather than I want to. What do
Um,
you do?
I don't know if I like it, but I do know
No.
the benefits of watching it back. I try to once I filmed on set with Neighbours, we're 3 months apart. You guys are 6 months. So 3 months from shooting on set to being on screen, and Home and Away is about 6 months.
Yeah.
And I found that because we do have the ability to watch a version of it. It's not the final version a couple of weeks later or whatever. But I don't like doing that mostly because I'm very heady. I'm very I think a lot. And if whatever scene I've done, I'm directing, analyzing myself immediately after it and what hit, what missed, and all that kind of stuff. So if I watch it 2 weeks later, all of those thoughts are still way too fresh. But if I leave 3 months, then some of the details I've lost or forgotten. I've forgotten some of the other takes that I did that they didn't use or whatever. And so then I can look at it from the outcome rather than from the insecure actor who's then just pulling apart their own performance. I go, what was the outcome of the performance? Did the story get told? Was it what? There's always moments where you go, could have done that a little bit better. Could have layered something else in here or whatever. But I try to find. Try to study it from the point of view of an audience member and how they're being affected by it, rather than from the actor who's noticing all the tiny little things that nobody ever notices, because ultimately most of the time they're not important.
You are the person. Yeah. And it's hard to separate yourself of. I remember what I was feeling. I remember I was so cold and that my mouth wouldn't move. Those little things where the everyday person doesn't even realize.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's good to watch it technically because you don't believe it because it's you pretending to be that person. But it does. It's that fine line between judging yourself and judging your technique or judging your just what
execution.
You did on that day. Yeah, because you're ultimately we are our own instrument, and I think that's the really hard thing about acting is we've got to be very careful with this whole thing of mental health because it ultimately your job, I mean, in a normal job, you are your instrument, you're using your hands to help people or you're using your brain, but it's literally our work is our body and what we do with that body. It's such a weird
We put ourselves
thing.
on display.
So I always
Put ourselves up for judgment, even though we're becoming somebody else.
Yeah.
We are seen, if we're good at our job, we're seen as that person. And it's hard for,
Yes.
I think you're similar to me in that, because when you empathize with a character so much and you feel for them, and I think every great actor approaches a character, a role, a storyline, a point of view with empathy, so that, because no one who has ever done a bad thing has thought of themselves necessarily as doing a bad thing. It's always, generally in my mind, coming from a place where they feel like they're doing a good thing. It might be a selfish thing. It might be something that is a horrible thing to do, but the point for them is it gives them something positive. So you kind of always have to understand their point of view and feel for that. You can't judge your own character, I feel, because otherwise it's going to fall apart, and that's the only thing you're really going to see. Even though in shows like ours, sometimes we have to do things where or say things like, my character wouldn't do this, but somehow I've got to get the plot out there for everyone else.
That's actually the biggest piece of advice I've ever received from training over the years is never judge your own character. Never, ever, ever. If they, if you were to watch a really good movie and they were say weird. Say I've been watching The
Yeah.
Tiger King, right? Because anyone, yeah, right. So if you had to play that character,
Which
if
one?
you were,
They're all so long.
sorry,
Yeah.
Joe. So the main guy, Tiger King. Oh, it's just so absurd. Um, so if you say you were playing that character, you cannot judge yourself. You know how we all judge him, and we go, he's going for Congress. Like what in your mind? Like how does that even? But for him, he thinks he's going to get it. Like it's that point of, I know I'm going to get it. So never judge your character in that sense. That was a very weird. It's just because I just finished
Oh,
watching it, so
it's
it's still
it's
in there.
insane. And I still don't know what exactly to
It's very good
believe
character.
either.
Actually, I haven't finished it, so don't spill too much. I'm up to about
Okay.
F5.
Well, I mean, it's all just it just yeah. You
Just keep
can
going.
update me when you're finished and tell me what you think. The latest set that came
Okay.
out that was just like a talking heads type thing, similar to this, but with each or a few of the main things. So it doesn't reveal something new, which I was quite disappointed about. But
Okay.
so okay.
I like to talk in circles,
Yeah,
so you've got to
I
keep
know.
me on
Well, I
track.
did the same thing, so I'll go off on like I'm the person who, when I'm getting interviewed, they ask me a question, and 10 minutes later I go, so what was the question that you asked me? I don't think I've answered
I
that.
don't think I actually
So we talked about your
answered.
mentors, and
I think that's my publicist's worst nightmare is just Courtney, stay on track. Stay on track. Okay,
you're the one who
too
because I've done
excited.
some presenting stuff, and they say like when you ask a question, once they finish talking, just wait for 10 seconds, and they'll just keep talking, and you're going to be the classic person who will just keep talking every single time.
I will. I will. And it's not because I like talking, it's because I hate awkward silences. So I'm just going to keep, I'm that person. I'm going to fill in the gap. I'm a
So
filler.
you were, before Home and Away happened, what was
Yes.
the life of Courtney the actor? Because how long had you finished the psych degree and the diploma, the rehab diploma, was it before Home and Away came about?
I was in the midst of
Right.
doing my
So you finished
diploma.
that on set, did you?
Yeah. So I got the job, did part time with the job, and then it got to a stage where I had to do placement. So I had to take some time off work, took 6 weeks off, did
Oh
placement,
wow,
came back.
that's
Yeah.
pretty impressive. And so to get into that a bit more, what brought you to the rehab counselling?
I had done a lot of work with Lifeline, so that's like on the phones and you answer them and help
Yeah.
people in a crisis. So I did that for a while. Um, the funny thing with psych undergrad is you have so much knowledge, but you have nothing to show for it, which sounds a bit funny. But you're not a psychologist. You've got this degree and you can do social work, but if you want to go a little bit, more specific, then you have to then extend your knowledge. So it was kind of got to a point where I probably wanted to try it for drama school again. But as actors, you never really think that it's possible. So I kind of went, okay, I'm going to go down this path of honing more knowledge around the psychology. So to be honest, rehab, I knew that this degree would get me a title. That's so bad, but it does. Ultimately, this life, this time is all about, what are you? Well, now I can say I'm a rehab
Yeah.
counselor. But so really it was more of a strategic move in a way to kind of get more jobs, and yeah, and then I got the job and I said, see ya.
Are you still doing the? Are you
I'm
still
not
doing
doing
the
that.
Lifeline stuff? I imagine it's you just. Are you alright? Just bashing yourself. Tell me about the Lifeline stuff. Are you still doing that? Do you still have time to?
I stopped just before this isolation thing, and then it got a bit too hard because you had to set up your
Right.
stuff at home. So I didn't. I did it for about 2.5 years. One of the best things I have ever done, and one of the most daunting things I've ever done. It was really, really, really tough, and it took me a lot to go, but as soon as my shift was over, I felt on top of the world. It was really cool. And to be able to even talk someone down who was sorry, not literally talk them down, as in talk them to lower their emotions. And these people, I was
Mm.
talking to adults, so I had to put on this voice, and some of them would say, "You sound really young." And I go, "Yeah, like, as I am." So that was pretty hard when they ask you direct questions. That was probably the hardest thing. You couldn't answer anything about yourself. You had to really sweep up the question and put it towards them.
So,
But I hope that
what's as an example of sweeping that up? If someone said like, "How old are you?" How do you
yeah,
how do you sweep that up?
you you would probably say, and I was never really good at it. You would probably say something like, because they would catch me and go, "Oh," and then they know that you're nervous. You go, "Oh, crap." You would say, "Oh, look, I understand that you want to know about me, but let's focus the conversation on you. You know, it's the conversation's about you today. How can I help?"
And I think it
Kind of
might be
thing.
helpful now because I feel like it'd be helpful for even my knowledge. And there'd be international versions of what Lifeline is. It's maybe give a definition of what Lifeline is so that people know what their version might be.
Yes. Okay, so Lifeline is an Australian telephone crisis line. So people of all from all walks of life can ring this number, and it's a great number. And we're all trained, so it's a very highly trained telephone crisis support centre. So how can I 13 11 14 is the number. So if you're ever in stress, ever feeling very down, they will help you and hopefully talk you out of it and help you just to take another step in life.
And what does that
Really great.
so that people have, because I imagine a lot of people who should call don't call for fear of the unknown of what
Yeah.
that call's like. Could you give a little bit of a feeling of what it is like? What when you call, what happens, and what's the person on the other side of the line going to be like, and that kind of
Yeah.
thing?
It's actually a very easy conversation. It really works when the caller is open, because then we can work with them and we can just chat. Um, so I mean, the call would start with me saying, "Hello, this is Lifeline. How can we help you?" And we just listen and say, if they're crying, "Oh, it sounds like you're really upset today." Dive into those feelings of why that person's upset, and slowly, as the main thing is finding a connection with them. And for me, the biggest thing was letting them trust
Mm.
me to listen. Yeah, I mean, every call's different. People are very interesting. And some people just need to chat. Some people need to chat. And, one of my supervisors says that he once got a call and they just said, "Look, I just want you to listen. I don't want you to say anything." He's like, "Do you want me to say anything at all?" And she said, "No." And he said, "Cool." And he listened for 40
Wow.
minutes. Nothing. Yeah, so everyone
And
is
I
so
didn't mean to
different.
make you like now an ambassador for Lifeline, but feel like it's a pretty
No,
it's a thing that
that's
I think
okay.
a lot of people can get.
I actually am one, so you're fine.
Well, that's good. Hey, look at that! I didn't even know that.
Hey, look at that. Hey, look, I did my job.
And I imagine that must have helped acting wise too, with hearing how all these diverse stories from people that you wouldn't get the full story of who they are anyway. But
Yeah.
were there things that you took from that, and as an actor, were you just like logging away in your brain?
100%, especially with Bella. She's very psychologically damaged, and in a way, Lifeline helped me love her. It comes back to that, don't ever judge your character. I think it helped me to not judge her because she was doing these awful things, and a lot of a lot of the fans weren't liking her. If I was ever seen in public, he'd be like, "Oh," the first thing would be said of, "Oh, I don't like Bella," and I have to be like, "Well, she's psychologically damaged and she's doing this stuff because of blah, blah, blah." So it allowed me to love her, and I love her. She's half me, half not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it helps me to explain why she's doing the things she is, because she can be a real rebel.
And how fun is that?
Yeah, it is so
Do you
fun.
what was your audition like? What was the audition process for you?
Ooh, I tried out for Home and Away maybe twice before. I definitely tried out for Ziggy because I found the audition piece. I had someone before that. Anyway, so this one, it kind of came with this sense of, this is it. I want to get this one. She was 16. I was about 21. 22. I was 22 and she was 16. And I was like, I can do that. I look young. Cool. Postman thinks I'm in high school. That's great. Cool. That's a
Oh,
good
you got
start.
plenty of years left of being a high school student. Trust me.
I know. I got lots. And I really workshopped it with my coach. So I was, please help me with this. Please help me with this. It's really kind of a blur. And then the second audition came, the director came in and he almost did it like a drama class of, okay, I want you to chase after him, don't touch him, but, affect him with your words. And that to me was really fun. And then, I don't know. And then I just remember getting the call and giggling. I remember giggling, but it was like a giggle that I didn't want anyone to hear. And my agent heard it. And I was like, oh, it's embarrassing. Be cool. Be
Giggling.
cool. But I know. I did like a. I'm not going to do it. I'm embarrassed. But I did like a little. Giggle.
We all want to hear the giggle. Come on.
I'm not going to do it. I don't. I think it was like a. I think it's one of them. It was like a high pitched squeal, more like it. She's like, I know, I'm excited too. Anyway, it's not that embarrassing. I just thought it was. And then it just all began.
What was the distance from audition to being on set? Like time-wise?
A lot time. First audition, 3 weeks. Second audition, 3 weeks. It was a big gap. So I didn't think I got it. And then I don't think I got on set another 3 weeks after that.
Yes, it was a reasonable time, especially for this kind of show.
It was like haircut, and then it was meet the coach, and then it was rehearsals. So it was kind of, I was like, just let me start already.
First scene, what was that like?
I was out on location, so I wasn't on set, which was very cool. Out in Penrith. And I had I got to show you. There's a picture there. Big crossbow in my hand. So it was very cool. So the story was that Colby, my brother, found me at my house where I had been kind of living in isolation. So I had this big crossbow and was like, get away from me. Really fun. Very, very nervous. But luckily the character was nervous. So it kind of played into each other, which was good.
Was it a big day too, that first day?
I didn't realize. Huge. I was in every scene. Yeah. From start to finish, so it was huge. And I had learnt the script, learnt. Got on set, and I was like, all right, I haven't got my scripts with me because I thought that's how you did it. And then I saw Tim and Paddy had their script. They knew that, of course, they know their scripts, but we always have it as safety. I think it's a bit of a safety thing. This is what we do. And I was like, okay, they have their scripts, and I was like, oh my gosh, should I have brought mine? So that was kind of going through my head, but
I never take my scripts on set.
Yeah.
It's a mental thing for me that
really?
if I take it on set, then
okay.
I'll read it in the read through, and so it's kind of this thing like I want to step onto the set. I'll look at like the other cast members' scripts for like what is it, and I was like, oh, okay,
yeah.
And then I just need those little cues maybe, but I want it to be coming from in my brain because if I read it, then once I put it down, then I've got to go through the same process of putting it back in my brain as opposed to from being it on the page.
Yep.
I don't know if that explains it very well, but.
And it actually coming from a place that, because you do know it, because we all know it. We ultimately, if you've done your work, you know it. Unless it's, scene 10 at the end of the day and you just like, I just can't do anymore. You've got to bring it on. For me, it's a mental thing as well, but it comes from a place of fear that I don't want the directors to think I don't know my stuff, which is so bizarre because you're bringing your script on, but I also scribble everywhere. So I think it reminds me to do that thing, the little note there. I don't know. I should start doing it. For me, I don't know. For me, it's really in my memory once I've blocked it out. And we don't block it out until we're on set, second run through. I think because I was a dancer, so I learned things by doing it. And I know that I'm going that way, so I'm going to say the line on my walk. Therefore, it's going to come out that way. I don't know.
I love blocking the blocking stage as well. It really helps me
with
with lines too. And I think it comes because I'm not a dancer in my background, but I'm quite a lot of sport in my background, and something with doing the physical thing and knowing that I'm over there when that line happens, and I take a couple of steps and that line's happening. I could have a long monologue, but if I'm moving through it, it's so much easier than standing on
Oh,
like a
man.
pedestal or something and having to just do this full-on monologue.
And if you have props, gosh, I love props. And you use them, and I think because in human life you use props, and you look how much I've used my hand, and I'm actually trying to keep it in this little thing, gosh, so you can actually see what I'm doing. And then you get up in acting and you forget what you do. I was actually an extra. Here goes in my little spiel. I was actually an extra on Home and Away, and I swear I forgot how to walk. I forgot how to walk. They go because it's so daunting, because all your people, like the famous people are there that you want to aspire to, and all you have to do is walk along that corridor. But God forbid you just can't do it, and you end up like walking like
And
this. Because
how often do you see
forget.
that now when you're stepping on set and you see the extras, and then it's like, okay, move on, and because they call and action, and it's like move on, and so that because they got a camera move or whatever, especially this person, and they just never move, and like
No, because their brain is thinking and if they actually get it on the, and I have so much sympathy for them, because I was one, and I totally get it. And if they do move on, and they're now thinking, okay, I've got to move on, and so then they forget what they're actually doing, which is simply walking. And I think the hardest thing about it is you've got to look cool doing it.
yeah.
Walking is easy, but looking
It's one
cool
of the
doing
most
it, not so easy.
my most favorite things is to watch films that I've watched and just watch the background actors, because people who've got to do big reactions or whatever if something happens, it's hysterically funny so often. But you gotta love it. Like I mean, there's so many times where I feel for background actors. The first show I ever did was in Singapore, and obviously it's very hot there, and we're all dressed in like shorts and shirts and skirts or whatever. But for some reason, everyone in the background had like long sleeves on and jeans, and I was like, "You must be all so hot! Like, why is this? Why has this happened?"
Yeah. Was that
A Girl's World.
rules? Girls World. I was about to say Girls
That's
Rule.
funny that you say that, because the production title
Why
was
that-
Chat Room Chicks, and then which is
Oh.
a very different show, and then
Exactly. I'm
and then
glad
the
they thought
first,
about that one.
proposed title for the actual show was Girls Rule, to which all of us said,
Yeah.
no, we don't the
No,
girls,
all the
no one says Girls Rule anymore, at least at that time.
and make your
Yeah.
fonts like
So then it
big
became
letters.
a Girls World
Cool.
with the word spelt URL for both girls and world, because we traveled, well, the girls did travel across the internet. So URL being like a web address. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
very smart.
I'm not
So
sure whether
bring with that.
everyone understood that, but that's what it was.
But there's a smart
Yeah.
little element to
But
it.
coming back to you, so you've been pretty fortunate to. I will ask this question because Aisha Jade has asked it a few times. How do you feel portraying such a strong and emotional story, Bella's story?
I feel very honored to do it. Really, really honored. And no matter how many times they swing a hard storyline at me, I'm so glad to do it. And I think it also comes, in me as an actor, getting asked to do a hard storyline means you're doing a good job. So for me, it's really rewarding. There's quite a tough one coming up, which I'm proud of, because I did deal with clients who went through it. So, but there's always that element of, am I portraying this correctly? So it comes with a lot of honor and pride, but a lot of fear to do it.
Yeah, I think there's certain actors who are more attuned to doing certain kinds of storylines as well, because we'd have in both shows there are probably characters that get given the real big soapy storylines where it's the major cheating scandals, or any of those things that you go, that's real, like melodramatic soapy stuff, which is really hard to pull off, like to get that big stuff. And then there's the actors who might be more are given those sort of more serious and high stakes, but in a different, an emotional way rather than a plot based way. That they're kind of given those sort of roles with, and the characters themselves are in line with that as well, because some characters are set up to be those big soap storylines, and some are set up to really dive a little bit further into the psychology of a situation, I think.
Yeah. I think it comes down to, I know that I think this is really interesting as well, that my coach on set talks about is every actor has their different entry points. Some people are very logical about their entry, so will come through the script with their words. Some people will come through through their physical body, and some people come through the emotion. So I definitely come through emotion, which means that I actually need to work on my physical and my more intellectual thinking of a script, because I'll say a word and then Lucas, who's really bloody good at it, will go, why are you saying that? Like, that doesn't make sense. And I go, oh my goodness, it doesn't. Like, as in the way I'm saying it, not the script. Sometimes the script. And then he'll go, and then we'll workshop it together, like, which is really interesting because it's something I'm not good at yet. I'm working on it. But it's funny that Bella has that emotional entry point, because I think myself as an actress goes through that bit and thinks about it emotionally rather than what I'm actually saying.
Yeah, no, I love with a new character especially, is feeling their costume, what they wear. I feel like that helps so much physically, because if someone wears a tie and shirt or something, or for you a dress as opposed to like a skirt and a shirt, or t-shirt and shorts, or that kind of stuff, that really changes the way you move. And I think that can impose itself so easily on what you're saying and how you say it.
Yeah, I guess that's the physical aspect. My character wears Docs, and if they put me in sandals, I feel so naked, metaphorically, because I know that she will never wear sandals. I go, I don't like sandals, put me in Docs. I'll walk on the sand, I don't care. I just want something thick on my feet, which is so weird, but it's just because she's quite an earthy...
It helps you ground her.
I don't know. It's so odd, and I think I learnt that that's what she wears. So that to me is... It's funny that when you're not wearing an outfit that you really feel it's your character, you kind of take a step back. It's quite
it
funny
happens
in that
a lot
sense.
for me, I think, with the publicity shoots we do, where it'll be a different stylist or something comes in, as opposed to being our head of department for wardrobe, and I just go, oh, this is this, and they're like, oh yeah, it looks great. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't...
Sure.
Yeah,
and
when it's publicity, I'm like, it's publicity, so, but because when it comes to the show, then and our producer says that she welcomes creative debate. She wants, like, if there's something that you want to fight for your character in some way, or you think a character wouldn't do, then open that debate, and I do that a lot. So, because we're the only ones that are protecting our characters ultimately, because everybody else is protecting so much more than just our character.
Yeah, I find it's that hard. I've said this about 3 times now. It's the fine line between, like, truly speaking up for your character and then not being seen as difficult. I find that really hard, really hard. I come in and go, excuse me, I just, if you like, it doesn't matter if not, but, I find myself almost apologizing for having an opinion.
I think I did that at the start, and now they just expect it from me. So I'm like, so this line, how do you feel about this? But I know now always, I always come with a solution. Unless I'm just like, I don't know if there's a fix for this. And I say, we can just do it, but I just want everyone to be aware that this seems like it has to happen, but it shouldn't. And I don't know whether there's a fix that you guys can do in the edit, but we can do it, because I can't think of a solution out of it. But that sometimes happens because, the show is written as fast as we portray it. And
exactly. But also you're your character and you know it quite well, and it really could be, especially with the writers, they could have watched, where the start of your character, and now you're at a point where you're like, no, she's done this, she's older, I'm always fighting for that, of, we're not going to go the whiny Bella, because she's different, she's older, and she's found love.
Yeah, that could be the fun challenge too, of like getting the lines and then going, well, she's beyond that version of telling these lines. How can I now? Yeah.
Well, can I say it?
Which sometimes you go, can't I just be given the lines that she would say now, rather than saying all the lines she has said before, but in a different way? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, any lessons you've learned on set that you didn't expect to learn? Things that you went, oh, I just learned that thing about the industry or about acting, and I never thought that'd be something I would learn because I didn't think it was something. It was something that I didn't know kind of thing.
Oh, I really came in with nothing. I really didn't know. I think the biggest thing for me, I'm so glad I'm on such a rushed show because it's taught me do your mark, know your lines. The thing that I never realized, because in our show, the soundies talk to you, the ADs talk to you, the directors talk to you, the lighting talks to you, whoever else. But on a much bigger set, you just got the one person. You just got that AD talking to you, which for me I guess that's discovery about what's out there, because there's a whole world of acting out there that I have no idea about. So anyway, coming back, I probably just have taken away the technical bits of it. And I'm so thankful for that, because now, I don't really want to go to drama school after this all. And I've got that, I've got that in the box. I just want to learn more of the acting, I
think on bigger sets, like talking, they don't talk to you as much in terms of like they're sort of directed that the crew doesn't interact with the cast so much. But my tip would be to talk to them to open up that dialogue, because our Neighbours set is very similar to Home and Away. Tony Gardner, who you would have worked with on your show, has been directed on ours a bit, and he says it's the same. It's different people, but you have the same sort of characters in either side telling very similar jokes because they've been there for 30 years doing the thing.
And it's so much fun. It is so much fun when you have that ability for that dialogue. I think I'll miss having the joy of being on set, and people, we're laughing before we have a take, and you got to go, oh crap, I'm meant to be crying. What am I doing? And it's because, that's our livelihood, and we do that day in and day out. And when I'm crying, I want to have a bit of a laugh, and then I want to get the tears back. It's a funny, I think I went in with so little knowledge that everything to me has been a new learning curve.
Which is a really, really great way to approach every role that you do, I think, for any actor, including myself, because you never want to get complacent in thinking. I think we said that at the start, where you think that I know everything now and I don't have to, which actually happens quite a lot in Australia compared to America. America, everyone's always learning, no matter what level of actor they are, they continue learning. Whereas Australia, people will do their study and they'll get their work, and then they're like, oh, well, I've done all that now I just need more roles. And it's like, just keep working on the craft.
Yeah. But every role is different, so you've got to mold yourself every time. That's what I love about acting, is there's so much you can learn, both in books and on set and through other people, and then you just go, I don't actually believe in that, but I'll take that little bit of it and I'll add it to my little stash. It's funny, but I wouldn't choose anything different.
Are you a prankster on set? Do you prank people?
No, I don't actually. I'm a bit of I'm actually quite quiet on set because we've got so many loud people. Tim's a big loud one. Emily Weir, big loud one. Oh, love her so much. And I just end up pissing myself. And then I'll say something like that I think is bloody hilarious, and everyone will look at me and just go, and then I go, come on, let me, come on, let me join in here. So I think people laugh at me because I'm just such a dag. I'm just so, and I know it, but I can't help it. I'm not a prankster. I will get the camera guys back because there's all a bit of like if he calls me short, I'll then send one back and be like, oh, you sure you can reach the camera? Are you sure? Or is that oh, it might be a bit too short, like that kind of biffing kind of thing, because you've got to stay in the game.
And it's just that comfort level too.
But other than it's really great. Other than that, if I have a really emotional scene, I'll go quite in, because
which I think they respond to as well, equally, knowing that let you do your work and that kind of thing, which I love about them. Because they seem like they for us, and from what I hear you're said too, is they seem like they're just like, oh, just doing the job and don't really care, blah blah blah, hurry up. falling asleep, boring. but in actual fact, when it comes to a scene where they know that we need to do something, then they're so respectful and they understand the work that's there, and the job for them too in their role in keeping us comfortable and letting us do what our thing is, you know.
Exactly. And over the years they get that. And I remember someone telling me, because I walk on set and I'm a bit of a people pleaser, so I go, I'm just gonna, sometimes I'll say my lines so quick because I know the other person's might cut me off and I go, I don't want to embarrass them and them cut me off, which is
I did the same
so
thing.
stupid. Or I go, we've only got 20 minutes to shoot this thing. I'm just going to rip these words out. And it takes a coach to say, you deserve to have that much time with your character. You know, you say those words because that's your time. And I forget what I was just about to say. Oh, bugger, I had a really good one-liner.
See, we're exactly the same. We go off on
really
tangents
good.
and forget the original reason why we're talking in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget it.
It'll
so
come
annoying.
back.
But yeah, you've got to remind yourself with such a fast-paced show to, you know, you deserve to be there and your lines are just as important.
Yeah, I like to
as
think for
everybody
myself
else's.
that, because I can rattle through lines quite quickly, and I say to myself, I pick the scenes where I slow down, because then I say I've earned the moments in those scenes, because in those other scenes where I'm just doing the plot from the previous episode or whatever, I'm just doing the recap, I can get through them quickly, so then when I have a scene that I've got something important for my character, I'm going to take my time with it, because that's
If you minus the time that I took in that the scene before, I'm going to add it in. I love it
when we're shooting a scene, like they've added a scene or they've had to change a scene, or it's just a scene that got shot like 2 weeks after or whatever, and they're like, so we only have a minute and 15 seconds for this scene. And then you have to try and time the speed of your pace of your words to make it fit that exactly, because they've got no room to move. And that's always a fun challenge. Because they're like, oh, you're a bit slow in that one. And then you go a little bit faster.
So when's that? I've never had to deal with that.
That's because you guys only shoot 5 episodes a week and we shoot 6. And that's not possible in reality. So what happens is we have scenes that, like, we start the year...
Do I remember you saying at the start of this interview that this isn't a competition?
But I'm winning, so...
And we've got... Gosh, is this why you want me on here? Anyway, continue.
This
I'll
is the
let you
downside
continue.
of it, right? So at the start of the year, this year, we were shooting like 4 blocks at the same time, because we had that much to finish off, because we had this big... At the end of last year, we shot the 35th anniversary week of specials, with extra 5 episodes, which we're shooting on top of the normal production schedule we're shooting on, which meant that a whole bunch of scenes then just didn't have time to be shot last year, and so then we're still shooting them at the start of this year, and to be shooting 4 blocks at the same time is insane, because that's across 24 episodes, that's 5 weeks of broadcast, which if you go from the first episode of that to the last episode of that in back-to-back scenes is utter mayhem in your mind. But that's the downside of the speed at which we shoot, is that every public holiday we have puts us behind by a day, and if you add them all up across the year, we get back behind a whole week, and then add a whole extra 5 episodes we're supposed to shoot in a year. Suddenly we have 10, 11 episodes that we haven't shot yet.
Do you not work that Saturday?
We never shoot on the weekend.
You have...
No.
Oh, really?
It's too expensive for us, so it always has to be Monday to Friday. But we're different to you, because we shoot outside and inside all week. We don't break it up like you guys do.
Yes, we just do the break. We have the 2 units going in, so we'll have 1 unit, which just kind of means a whole crew, that specific cast shooting on location, and then for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then all week in studio. So different camera, different director, whatever. But we have, similar to you, we have a pickup list. It's very long. So which is very rare, say we like end of the day, maybe an hour early, we'd be like, what can we quickly do in this set, you know, with these casts? Well, we'll do this one. You go, I haven't got the script for that one. Quickly. Like, so that's the crazy thing of the show. But that's so much fun, because you get out into the industry and you've got all this knowledge, and you go, we ready? You're like, no, you're actually going to be waiting for 3 hours. You know, it's got, I think we're going to get out, and it's going to be like, can we just like pace us up a bit? Yeah, so that's
absolutely.
interesting.
What's after Home and Away, whenever that may be, if ever that may be, is will the psychology stuff come back?
Um, I definitely want to train some more. And I really want to give acting a good crack. I think once you get your foot in it, you don't ever want to leave it. When you find something you really love, I think it will always. I hope that I can use my acting hand in hand with my psychology to kind of, through socials or through my profile of some sort.
Is that
To
what
kind
you're
of
doing currently with? Is it your Love Your Body?
love your shape.
Love Your Shape.
Yes. So love_your_shape is, it's just like a little baby project that I started with a couple of friends, and all I did was rent out a studio. It was all self-paid, and I got about 15 girls, and we kind of just did a bit of, what do you call it? What would you call it? Not photography. Took pictures and was kind of celebrating, women are all different and we've got to celebrate that. So the page has kind of become a bit of a motivational thing, and I add up every now and then, some talks from, I've got a dietitian up there talking about mindful eating during this time. And so it's definitely in its beginnings, but I hope that even if it's affecting a few people, that to me is just
And what's
enough.
what direction are you taking that? Like where do you want it to be? If it were to grow in a real big way, what would be the next steps for you?
Yeah. I would love to do another shoot. I'd love to kind of get women from all walks of life. My hope is to, and I'm trying to set them up, with all this free time. That's what I've been doing. So I've got, a few talks coming on. My family's very into health, so I've got, my naturopath is hopefully going to say something and just talk about all these different topics. And my mum's going to hopefully say something about negative self-talk. And so I've got a lot of sources around me, which I'll hopefully use. My biggest tackle of this thing is to make it look presentable, which is actually quite hard, to make people watch it. And, people's lives are so busy.
How do you break through?
It's hard to make something that, yeah. And how do you make them have that little bit, 5 minutes of their time to just watch something that could possibly change a big thing in their life, So it's very much in its beginnings. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a place of discovery for you as much as it is for everyone else who's going to be watching
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
which is nice. So you do all these things. What do you do for fun?
Act. I literally love acting. No, I like to draw. I love to draw.
What sort of drawing do you do?
I do bizarre things. I love watercolors, so I do a lot of watercolors. One of our acting activities for class is actually to listen to music or to read a play and draw to it. So a lot of my drawings come from that. It's very interesting, actually. You can take a lot of things out of music, and I actually put my earphones in my mum's ear and I was like, listen to this. And it's this beautiful Hans Zimmer, 5 hours.
Yeah.
5 hours of Hans Zimmer. Oh, gosh. So I like to draw that. I love to draw faces. So it's kind of
faces of people you know, or are they like invented characters?
No, people I know. So I think I drew Timothy Chalamet.
Of course you did.
I did. I know. Every woman's down that path. What is it?
I can't tell you. David might be able to tell you my character, but me not so much. Look, he's got like he exudes a feminine masculinity in a way, so whatever that means.
I think that's the new thing. That's like a Harry Styles thing as well. It's like this newfound, and I think that's beautiful. I think that's, for so long men have had to be this masculine figure, and women are starting to realize that we actually learnt that in psychology, that women actually prefer a more softer face because it means that they can look after our children. Little fact for you. Yeah,
that's interesting.
That's interesting.
Which I think there's a broad spectrum of what people are attracted to out there.
Exactly, definitely.
All right, well, let's go through. I'll see if there's any more questions that people have posed. Embarrassing moment on set. Have you had any major embarrassing moment? That was from Jodie Easton.
I have had a lot because I do things before I speak, and then it just goes. It's just a bit embarrassing. But one notable thing was I was on the set with all the greats, Georgie, Lynn, Tim was there, Ray, and I was talking to the director, and I was trying to ask her a question, and it had to do with something with Ray's character. And I was like, I had a mind blank, and I was like, Ray, what's your character's name? And everyone just looked at me and was like, you don't remember the pivotal character of the show. And I just was so embarrassed. And they were like, Ray was like, Alf Stewart. And I was like, Alf. Oh, I was so mortified. But I had gotten to that stage that I had been there long enough to, it wasn't.
Isn't that more awkward if you've been there? I mean, to be honest, we always forget people's characters' names anyway, because this gets confusing because you've got their real name, then you've got the character's name, and your brain's jumping between the two all the time, so you can glitch out sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, man, it was such a bad one, though.
It is.
I adore Ray. He's so beautiful. He's only reminded me twice. That's okay. Yeah. But it's funny on set. We do like lots of practical jokes where the cameramen will get a piece. So say you went the wrong way one time, they'll get like a big piece of tape, which is normally bright colors because it's normally your mark, and they'll write this way, and they'll put like a huge arrow. So you're like during the scene, you're like, God damn it. So they're very funny in that. So there's a lot of practical jokes that happen on set. People like to get Tim back.
He does a lot of it, does he?
Yes,
what was that one there? How... We've talked about your favorites of things. It's always a popular one with the fans. Do you have a favorite other character? That kind of stuff. Is it?
I don't know.
Have you?
I do love my Lucas, therefore I love Ryder. So there you go. We get on very well.
He's a lovely human.
He is a lovely human.
Yeah, all right. Well, I've scanning through the questions. I think we've covered pretty much everything that everyone has put up here in some way. Maybe not directly, but mostly.
Roundabout.
Yeah. Someone's very keen on wondering what piercings do you have, but I just don't think that's something that people need to know, really.
I've got 2 in my ear and 2 in this ear.
There's your answer. That's sort of like nice one. As far as Bella goes, what do you hope her future holds for her? And beyond what you filmed, like it's just
yeah. What's coming up was really fun for me because she finds love and she turns into this different person. Actually, the storyline, if I was to do it in a bit of a graph, love, then there's a bit of a crash, and then there's a bit of a plateau, and then there's a bit of an up. So after the up, I think I would really like her to, I don't know, I would like her to become more adult, but then again, I also want her to maybe rob a bank or something.
Ooh.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Yeah, and you can do it in this sort of world, so.
Yeah, exactly, and get caught only slightly, or go under the radar. No one ever knows. But I don't know. I think that playing, I do love playing a bit of a rebel because it's just so far from what I am.
It's a little bit of escapism for yourself.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever stolen anything. I think I accidentally, seriously accidental, stole an avocado. I know. No, seriously, I went, should I? I'm not going to return it. What are you doing? Keep walking. I just didn't put it.
Who do you even go to? Like,
I don't know how.
Walking up to the register and going, I accidentally walked out with this. What should I do?
Do you want me to I have $3.
Like,
do you want?
No.
I'm one of those people.
No, that's a good thing to be.
And the worst bit to it was I felt really proud of it because it was something that I had never done. I go, Mum, guess what I did today? She goes, what? Stole an avocado? by accident.
Yep, you are a badass. I think that's
Yeah.
I think
What
that's how
else
they
did you do?
define it.
Oh, no,
It was a
I read a
picture of
book.
you with your avocado next to the word badass in,
Yeah.
in the dictionary.
How many dollars? Exactly. So that would be still something.
Well, I think that's a good place to end. The picture of you with an
Yeah.
avocado as a
Oh,
badass. I kind of wish we could have. I could have made the poster post this show and have you just
I
holding
know.
an
I
avocado,
should
and then
have
all will be
someone
explained.
had me like, oh no. Should I return it? Anyway, let's just end that now before I embarrass myself.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me, Courtney. I hope you had a good time.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone at home for joining us for number 11 of Tact Talks. It's been a real fun ride for me so far. And it's been a lot of work actually, but I'm glad that people are responding to it and finding some escapism, especially at a time with the UK and only having 2 eps a week for both Home and Away and Neighbours and all the other soaps, I believe, too. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you're watching this later, comment below on what you want me to ask my next guest tomorrow, who I do get to announce right now. It's very exciting. I do hope you like this one. I think you will. Very much so. It's one for the Neighbours fans. We're back on Ramsay Street, although she did leave a little bit ago. It is Lily Vandermeer. Yay! The crowd goes wild. She's an absolute legend, a beautiful person. I'm super excited to have a chat with her tomorrow. We do have all these chats, me and her, especially when she was on set, which we'd get quite deep really quickly. So I'm expecting that'll probably happen tomorrow. So it's going to be an interesting chat. We'll be hearing about her time on Neighbours, obviously her lead up to Neighbours, as well as what's been going on for her since she was on the show, which I'm really curious about too. So hit the subscribe button somewhere over there and like, comment, all that kind of stuff, because it helps other people discover this too. But thank you for coming along for the ride, and I will see you next time.